Paul Devlin, how are we doing?
Good, mate, thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
my
mate.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Is it nice to have another person on the podcast who ain't got a great deal of hair? If you don't mind me.
Fucking hell,
Nothing wrong
cheap
with being
that.
there. Fucking hell.
Cheap
Nothing wrong with being
shot.
That's a
better
good-
lovers, I've heard.
Good,
Folkly
good
charged.
opening blow, innit, that one?
He's had a pint. Get him on.
Get later.
It's John's claim to fame that he met Elton John in the buff, but I believe, did he dedicate a song to you?
No, he didn't dedicate a song. He paid for me to go to Watford. and that's as far as it went. No, Ray Lewington rang me and he said that Elton very kindly had said, I'll give you the transfer fee and the wages for 3 years for a player. And Ray wanted me. So my deal to Watford, when I think I was 30, 31 at the time, was completely funded by Elton John. And then we went to see him. He did a concert at Vicarage Road and again gave Watford all the money. And he gave me a little bit of a shout out on stage. Yeah. Let me tell you, I'm sat there with all the lads. So you can imagine when he's talking about me on stage, the looks and the gestures I was getting. But to be fair, I mean, I never met him or anything, but I do know Ray Lewington used to tell us he wasn't just an armchair fan, he was properly into Watford. Used to know about the players, what position they've played, ring up every Saturday and talk to Ray. So yeah, it was great. And, I had 3 years down there at Watford. So thanks, Elton.
So was it? I said he wasn't chairman then. He was just a fan.
No, he was just a fan because I went there fucking everywhere. I was at the end of when they had good periods. I went there just after the Viali era where they threw a load of dough at it with Ramon Vega and people like that. Obviously, nearly bankrupt the club. They didn't quite get to the Premier. So Ray Lewington took over. And he had to obviously get loads of people off the wage bill. So the club was skint basically, and he needed a player, and Elton helped him out.
Some claim to fame, that, innit?
I know.
I'd be dining out on that one. Like,
Well, the thing is, Elton just sat at home and think, fuck it, I'm going to give him a player.
Yeah.
I'll sort him out.
When you got that dough, you can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So did your wage come... No, it didn't, did it? It come straight from Elton?
No, Elton never dropped
I
it
wanted
off.
it to.
He
I wanted it to.
He got visions of Elton landed on a phone to give me an envelope.
Rolls Royce outside your house every
Listen,
Friday.
I'd have loved to have met him because, he's a superstar, innit? I'd have loved to have met him at some stage. But no, it was, always be thankful for him for that. I enjoyed my time at Watford. They saw the old version of me really, but really good club and enjoyed it. Met some good people down there.
Trained as a chef, didn't you? At the start, you could...
Yeah. I mean, when I left school, I loved football. I loved playing, but I had no sort of aspirations to be a player because I just didn't think I was good enough. So I trained to be a chef. Sort of drifted back into football at nearly 18.
So you were at no academies at all, like School of Excellence or whatever they were back then?
Nothing. I drifted back in playing Sundays with the lads. I was never, because I used to work shifts and weekends, so I used to be a sub on a Sunday. And one Sunday I came on in a cup final over just down the road from here, Tamworth. And a scout for Tamworth said, will you come down and have a little trial? So I went down there, did all the non-league circuit round there with various clubs, which culminated in 1990 going to Stafford Rangers when they were in the conference. Stan Collymore was there at the time. So conference football, real good standard. Played with the likes of Desi Bremner and Fraser Wood and that were there. So I had 18 months, nearly 2 years there, and then ended up going to Notts County. While I was at Stafford, I was at trial at various places, Leeds, Liverpool. I was at Liverpool for about 6 or 7 weeks on and off. Then
Did he
I went,
offer money for you, Liverpool?
Apparently, yeah. But the story I heard, and I don't know how true it is, that Stafford sold Stan the season before for 100 grand, which was a record for a non-league teenager then. So I went up, I played 2 or 3 reserve games for Liverpool. They kept having me back, like I say, about 6 or 7 weeks on and off up there. And the rumour I heard was they offered 10 grand and Stafford said, no, we want 100 and 200 grand. They just went, no. So
I thought you meant they'd offered a restaurant. Were you a chefing at 10 grand?
For a Michelin star. No, I came back, went on trial at Leeds. I didn't like Leeds, just didn't like. First thing that put me off, when I went in there, I met Howard Wilkinson, and he looked me up and down. He said, I thought you'd be a bit bigger. I thought, well, you've asked me, surely you must. No. Played a reserve game, had a week up there, did really well in training, did well in the reserve game. Came back, and to be fair, Neil Warnock had kept in touch with me all the way through. I'd been down there and trained a couple of times. So I came back from Leeds on the Friday with the agreement was, I'll be back up Monday, Howard. I'll be back up and train Monday. Because I think they wanted to sign me, in fairness. I came back on the Friday and signed for Neil Warnock at Notts County. And it was a great move because Leeds won the league that year and we got relegated. But I actually was sitting in my mum and dad's house and Howard Wilkinson rang me and gave me a bollocking down the phone. He rang me, why do you think you come back, blah, blah, blah. And he proper tore a strip off me down. As a 19-year-old, you sit there. I'd been playing non-league 5 minutes ago. You think, you got Howard Wilkinson giving me a bollocking and down the phone. So,
Did you give him a bit back?
No, I did a fuck no. It was a bit surreal, really, but it worked out great because I could have gone to Leeds or Liverpool and maybe never kicked a ball for them. You know, I ended up playing 150 games for Notts County, mostly in the Championship. So it was a great start for me, really.
It's a regular thing on here that lads who don't make the academy, well, it was YTS back then, wasn't it? And they go and play in the conference, maybe even below, but then they come back. Did that toughen you up? Did you feel yourself become a better player?
Definitely. And my lad was 4 or 5 years in the Blues Academy and he got released at 14 or 15. But I look at all these academies where they're playing against kids their own age. Now, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old can be great against another 19, 20-year-old. Stick him up against a 30-year-old who's been around the block, who's going to leave a bit on him. You have to toughen up. I remember speaking to Tommy Mooney when he was at the Villa, and he said, they've got lads there who've been nowhere near the first team on a few grand a week. They don't want to drop down the leagues and go out on loan and play because it's too comfortable. Yeah. I'm quite anti the academy setup in the under-23s league. I mean, I remember my first game as a pro for Notts County before I got in the first team was a Wednesday night game. Remember the Wednesday night league, reserve league? So I've gone from non-league, a 19-year-old kid, I'm playing against Noel Blake. He was centre half for Stoke that night, coming back from injury. Now you have to grow up fast when you're playing against players like that. So I really think when they got rid of that reserve league, I don't think it done the younger players any favours. Under 23 league, you're still playing against kids. So all this money being thrown at academies now, and they're still telling you, only 1 in 100 make it. Well, it's got to be a failure in my eyes. You're going to get your Bellinghams and your Rooneys. The super players like that are going to come through regardless. But if they're telling me still only 1 or 2 in 100 are making it, I think, well, where's it going wrong? All this money's getting thrown at the academies.
It's a waste of time,
and still,
really,
and you're telling kids at 8, you're breaking their heart at 14, 15 because they think they're going to be a pro. You know, they think they're going to be a player. And, a lot of the lads from my Sean's era that played with him don't play football anymore because it's soured them that much.
Yeah.
And my lad now, he's playing non-league for a local team down here, Sutton, in and out the first team. I said, that's what you need to be doing. Go and play against blokes. Don't go and play against other kids. Go and play against men.
How old's he now?
19. So he's the same age now as when I was, when I turned pro.
You kicked on.
Yeah, so he's doing well.
Did you feel that you were better prepared than the other young lads when you arrived at
I definitely felt I had a different attitude towards the physical side of the game because predominantly throughout my career I was a right winger and I'm only 5'8", so I think I had a little bit of small man syndrome as well. But I feel the non-league sort of toughened me up a bit to the physical side of it. So I definitely felt I was hungrier. I definitely felt that when I did get my first pro contract, I appreciated it more. I seen lads that. There was a lad at Notts County, Steve Slawson, 6'2", left-footed, fast, had everything, but just didn't seem to have been there since he was a kid. Just didn't seem to have any desire or any drive. He was
feet under the table, like.
Yeah, I think so. And he was twice the player I was, but he got released after a year or two pro. And I say when I do speak to some kids that have managed to get pro contracts, I say, well, that's just the start of it now. The biggest thing I take pride in my sort of nearly 15 years as a pro is I was never out of contract. I was never out of contract once in my career, which means somebody always wanted to sign me. And looking back now, that's probably the thing that I take most pride in. Don't get me wrong, most managers say I drove them round the bend at times, but I must have been doing something wrong.
It's been a while since we've had a Warnock fix.
Yeah.
2 spells.
It can't be. He signed everyone, didn't he?
He never signed fucking us, Joe. They must have been shit, us, these players.
Well, Barry Fry, you must have played for Barry Fry or Warnock.
No, neither. No.
You must be the only two.
How was he? How would you find him?
Warnock was brilliant. Loved him. He took a chance on me from non-league, which I'll always be grateful for him too. And then obviously had a really good spell at Sheffield under him. In 2000, I got Player of the Year, and Warnock was manager. So listen, Neil's got his faults, and I think he's very much a Marmite character. But I had my ups and downs with him. But ultimately, I'd put him in probably the top 3 managers that I played for personally.
Was he one of them that you could give him a bit? You could answer back to him. And
that was a good thing about Noel. I mean, he calmed down ever such a lot from when I had him at Notts County to where I had him at Sheffield.
Yeah.
It fucking calmed down a lot.
Really?
Yeah. At Notts County, like, he was scared to go in the dressing room. I bear in mind I was only 5 minutes out of non-league and that as well. But I think we know if you were playing well and doing well for him and trying, he'd look after you. If you was not pulling your weight, he'd make your life a misery. Now, I didn't mind that.
No.
I didn't mind that. As I got older as well, we had a couple of older lads at Sheffield at the time. It was great because we had a load travelling up from Birmingham. Peter Unlove, myself, Ian Hamilton, Pesky Solido, David Kelly. So we had a good little firm driving up here. But he was great with the older lads. He'd say to David Kelly, who was a bit older than us, he'd say, you and Dev and Pesh, have Monday off. Go and have a game of badminton. Well, that was his code, knowing. So I used to like to have a booze on a Sunday. don't come in on Monday. But just little things like that.
Yeah, small wins.
Yeah, his man management was brilliant. But then if you'd got hammered and you hadn't pulled your weight, you knew it was going to be misery for you for the next week. So I got on great,
How was he when you first signed from non-league? Did he make it easy for you to come in, or was he hard on you?
He was hard on everyone. He was hard on everyone,
So he didn't make any exception for thinking, I've got this player from non-league, I'll look after him. And
No. I mean, because he was non-league himself, hadn't he? Come through Burton and Scarborough. So, he knew the journey. But no, I was lucky, really, because we had some really good pros in that Notts County team. Tony Agana, Don O'Riordan, Phil Turner, Steve Cherry. And, there were good pros to learn off. So I wouldn't say it was easy coming through there, but... it was a real good grounding. I'm really happy that I started at that club. It's heartbreaking to see where they are now, really, when I think that my debut was in the top division for Notts County and the non-league now.
Did he need his pal cream at Notts County?
Well, it used to... You couldn't take your eyes off it because he'd put his shirt on. He'd always put his shirt and his tie and his blazer on. And then he'd be start bollock and then he'd get his leg up on one and he'd be talking to you and he'd be doing this. And if you'd lost... He'd be mid-bollock and he'd be doing it. So he'd be like, and he'd be doing it. And you try not to look. I've got to look, you can't help it. So he'd be getting it all up there and everything, and still giving you a bollocking at the time. So you don't want to make eye contact with him because he's got his fingers up his arse. You don't want to make out you're not listening to him in case he goes at you more. But
double-edged sword, isn't it?
Listen, the money he's must have earned, I'm sure he's had them done by now. But
Is that a bad ass for a lot of years then?
It wasn't a pretty sight, let me tell you.
What did he do with the debris? The bit once it's been up there, was there just a towel on hand and he just...
Listen, he probably just tapped someone on the head.
It's good to know that he's done it all these years, though, isn't it? So it wasn't just Chef You.
Yeah, I was wondering, if we went back through all the episodes when we could pinpoint when it started, but obviously it were early days.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a trademark for him now. He don't want to get rid of it, does he?
Yeah.
You don't want that tap on the head, do you?
No.
Chalk on the cue ball.
Thing is, you can just see it on the end of his 3 fingers, can't you?
But the way he used to have one leg straight and he'd cock the other one up on the bench, so everything's dangling down there.
At least he had the courtesy to get dressed his top half.
Yeah.
That's very kind of him.
But you'd think doing that, you'd do it while you're naked, wouldn't you? He'd have the tie immaculate, shirt immaculate, blazer on, then just nothing from there down. And it was like a routine. It was like you could set your clock by it after the games.
Oh, dear me.
So you fit in with the lads straight away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it took me a couple of weeks, couple of months to break into the first team. But yeah, I mean...
So I imagine it'd be nervy coming from non-league to that level and thinking, am I good enough?
You question yourself, don't you?
And you fuck your chefing off then now?
Yeah, I've been that.
I'm all in.
I'd been that.
Wait, what about club barbecue? Did you still feel a bit? Get the tongues out. Well, hey, watch out, lads! I'm a professional here.
Well, he used to invite us down to his pad in Cornwall, Warnock, for a club barbecue, but he let us all get lagging before we went down. It was mayhem. We'd have a fishing lake and a barbecue and all that set up, but we had some good times down there as well. But yeah, I did. You question yourself because all of a sudden you're at that pro level. Everything's twice as quick. The players are twice.
Especially been in the top division as well.
Yeah,
it's a big old jump, isn't it?
Well, I remember making my debut. It was against Coventry, roasting hot day at the end of the. I played 2 out the 3 last games of and we won them both, funnily enough. And I'm 19. I can run all day. Who's playing left back? Kenny Sampson. He was about 36, 37 at the time. I run all over him. I'd never had a kick. He's got. Bear in mind, he had 86 caps for England, Kenny Sampson. So my first sort of experience of the first team was playing against the bloke who had 86 caps for England and not having a kick.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like I was just running up and down all day, never kicking the ball. But
Might be what you needed that though, just a bit of
90.
the level that you need to
full
be
of
at.
bravado. He's 36, 37.
Yeah.
Just-
I'm gonna tame in your arsehole.
yeah, and he tore me one back. He tore me one. And I just remember I've never been as out of breath that day. It just seemed, I think the nerves, the fact that the pace of the game was so quick. It was end of season, so it was red hot. And I just remember that stuck out. And I thought, fucking hell, what a player he was, Kenny Sampson. You know, people don't talk about him as being one of the great fullbacks, but 86 caps. I think at that time he was England's most capped fullback ever. I think Pearce and Ashley Cole have overtaken him. But he was fantastic. And like I say, a bit of an eye-opener coming from non-league to play against the likes of him.
Do you get relegated again next year?
I can't remember. We got relegated that year. I don't think we got relegated the next year because we missed out on the playoffs by a point because we had a good team. Had like Mark Draper, Chris Short, Tony Garner, like I say, Gary McSwegan come down from Rangers. Gary was a great finisher. And we missed out on the playoffs by a point. We were playing away at Derby and we had a Dutch lad, Minder Dijkstra, scored an own goal in the fucking last minute. Steve Cherry's come running off his line. He's gone to edit back to him, edit it straight over. So we missed the playoffs by a point. And I think Derby got into the playoffs.
Right.
And the season after that, Drapes went to Leicester for 3 or 4 million. I went to Blues. Michael Johnson went to Blues. Leggy went. The team broke up and we got relegated that season.
I've got to say, mate, that's the best way of saying shit research that we've had yet. Just to
you were very kind one in there.
I might have got it wrong. I might have that one because I've got the worst memory in the world. But I just remember.
Because usually I just get no shit research.
It gets awkward and all that. So you did the right thing.
It must because that season as well. We got Ozzy Ardiles to sack because we beat Spurs 3-0 at Meadow Lane in the FA Cup, and it was when they had Klinsmann, Sheringham, Barnby. Dimitri, it was Ardiles got the sack after that. So we did have a really good team for that one year in the Championship. And then when we didn't quite make it, that team got broken up. And I got a feeling it was that season after was when we went down. Yeah.
And were you wanting to be aware? You know, you said Draper left. Were you thinking now's the time?
Well, I mean, I used to share a house with Michael Johnson and Andy Legg at Notts County. You know, they were great pals of mine. You know, we had some great times. And John, I went to Blues. And he just rang me one day. He says, "Listen, Baz really likes you." I used to go down the Blues. I'm from Birmingham. Used to go and watch the Blues. He said, "What do you think?" I thought, "Yeah, I'd love to." And it all sort of snowballed from there, and ended up getting a move with Andy Legg, Welsh lad, could throw the ball a mile.
Yeah, big blonde hair, left-footed.
Listen, he was about the same height as me, thinner than me. Never used to practice it, and he used to throw it. I've seen him. We played in the Anglo-Italian Cup final, and for one of the goals, he threw it, and he used to throw it flat to the back post. I think Tony Garner stepped in. But he never used to practice it, never used to go in the gym. He just had this knack and he could throw it straight like that, anywhere from the halfway line. It's like having a corner for Notts County. And at one time we had, remember big Devlin White?
Yeah.
We had him playing for the self. Just get in the box and launch it into Dev. But yeah, so we all ended up at Blues. And it was great because I ended up getting to play for Blues, you know, a team that I'd watched as a kid. So it was brilliant for me, yeah.
We haven't had much crack on Barry Fry, have we? How was he the first time you met him?
As he is with everyone, crackers.
Was he, yeah?
Yeah, brilliant character, Baz. It just, he's another one you could have a stand-up row with him and he could give you a bollock in 1 minute and it's all forgotten about the next game. Tactics, coaching, not Baz's gig to say.
It's not his gig, he's the fucking manager.
Yeah. So he'd always get people in to do that. But he was one of them, you wanted to play for him because you liked him that much and he was that infectious as a character. You wanted to play for him. But he was, I remember we stopped away, I think it was Grimsby, playing Grimsby away, and I always used to room with Michael Johnson then. So, you know, you get there at tea time, have your dinner, right, lads in bed for 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I fucking just remember, you can hear someone down the corridor banging on all the doors, running down. I can't. So I got up the next morning, gone downstairs. Look, Baz is having his breakfast. How'd you sleep, lads? Not great, really. Somebody running up and down the doors. He went, yeah, that was me. He said there was a wedding on. I got lagging at the wedding. And look, 3, 4 in the morning, we're playing Grimsby the next day. I remember Tighty telling me they played away in the Anglo-Italian Cup, and he thought that Tighty pulled out a tackle. He said, Devi said it was comical for a minute. He says, Baz is running up and down the line doing that, bark, 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 you chicken, you chicken. So then, like, Tighty's calling, I got you, you fat bastard. So he said, for a minute, we were going up and down the line while the game's going on, calling each other that.
He's giving it the chicken dance, he's manager.
Yeah, to Tighty. Tighty, Baz has gone. Tighty, he's gone, you fucking chicken, bark, bark, bark. He's doing that up the line. So Tighty's going back on him, you fat bastard, and all that. Like, this, while the game's going on, somewhere in the Anglo-Italian. But you couldn't dislike Baz. He was just, a proper football bloke. And like I say, I mean, he bought, along with Sullivan, Brady and the Golds, he bought Blues out the real doldrums. And, you know, we probably look back now and that sort of era, that sort of 15 years they had there was a good era to be a Blues fan, really. You know, because we had relative success, obviously getting to the Premiership, then obviously the Worthington Cup final. So it was a start of a real good era for Blues.
It's a handy knack for a manager, that, innit, to be know nothing about tactics or whatever, but still have the lads eating out the palm of your hand.
His tactics was, if you were 3-0 down, let's just get 8 forwards on. And let's just... my first day training, I went...
How did he end up being a manager?
The first day training, I went there and we trained up at Washdills in Solihull. There must have been 70 players on the session. It was just... There was like 4 pitches all being used. He just signed everyone. And on the hope that a few would come good. But if you look at some of the signings he made, I mean, he bought a lot of players for like 100 and sold them for like $1 million. Liam Dyche, Gary Paul, Gary Breen, you know, loads of people like that, you know, probably more that if you was to sit down and look, that he bought for pennies and sold for big money. And although he made a lot of signings for Blues, ins and outs, I think he actually made money for the club over the term that he was there. So, and he even to this day, the Blues fans love Baz.
I was going to say that, is he well respected?
Love him. They absolutely love him. You know, and he'll be back next season, won't he, with Peterborough? So he'll be, if the fans are back in the stadium, he will get the best reception of anyone when he comes to Blues next season. Guaranteed.
It's madness that he knows fucking nothing about tactics and training and everything, but he's been a manager and been in football all that time.
Lads loved him.
Warnock used to let other people do the coaching. You know, Steve Bruce, another one, loved Brucey. When we had the good spell at Blues, Mark Bowen did most of the coaching. So the managers that I really enjoyed playing for, they were more man managers than coaches, really.
I think sometimes you can see too much of your manager, can't you?
Yeah.
If they're taking training every day and you're like, for fuck's sake, you get
Same
bored of the
voice.
voice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we used to train right next door to where Forest train, and fucking used to see Clough once a week. But that was comical. We had the pitch there. There was like a big chainmail fence, and their pitch was there. So you had our entrance there, or you could walk a little bit round the back and get into their entrance. Now, Clough was Warnock's hero. Warnock absolutely idolised him. So every time Friday come about 10 past 10, we'd just be starting a session. Next thing you know, 2 golden retrievers would run onto the pitch, followed by Archie Gemmell and Brian Clough. Now, I don't know whether it was a dominance thing, but like Warnock used to say, right, lads, stand still. Morning, Mr. Clough. Morning, Neil. Morning, lads. And Clough would just walk straight through our session, right through the middle of it with his dogs, instead of walking round to go in the entrance. But like, Warnock could almost be there saluting in the morning.
Guard of honour.
Yeah, so you just have to wait to these fucking dogs to get off the pitch. If one of them decided it won a crap, you know what I mean, he was in trouble. But most Fridays that was the case. But Warnock absolutely idolised him. So it was comical looking back now.
Did Clough say hello to Warnock?
Yeah. Morning, Neil.
Right.
Morning, and he'd say...
I was hoping that he'd just carry on walking, not even say hi back, just carry on.
Warnock keeps saying, morning, Mr. Clough, and he just walks past him.
It was Mr. Clough. Morning, Mr. Clough. Morning, and he'd say, morning, lads, morning. Him and Archie Gemmell and the dogs go through and jump round. But I don't know whether that was Clough just asserting his dom. I'm not walking, I'll walk through your session. And you will like it, and you will thank me for it. You will stop and thank me for it, which is what Warnock used to do.
Thank you, Mr. Clough.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Warnock just taking that, but it shows how much respect he had for him.
Everyone respected Clough. I mean, he was king of Nottingham when he Clough.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was fun looking back now. I mean, I don't think any man should get away with it now. Would
no chance.
Fuck me.
I'm still picturing Barry Fry going down this corridor with tie around his head for a wedding. Lads! Straight out up conga, fresh from Agadoo.
So was he trying to recruit a few players to come down with him, or did he just fancy banging on the doors, do you think?
I just thought it'd be funny to run and shout and wake everyone up at about 3 or 4 in the morning. But what was funny, when we sat at the table, So he's got, "What, how do you sleep?" And you go, "Yeah, someone's done that." And it was like that was me. He was like proud that he'd done it. But he was brilliant, Baz, brilliant.
So completely different when Trevor Francis come in then.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Chalk and cheese. Yeah, I mean, Trevor is God down St Andrews, quite rightly known as the club's best ever player, boy wonder. And it was like the big homecoming for him when he came back. And I probably played in 18 months under Trevor, best footballer of my career. In his first season there, I was top goal scorer with 19, predominantly from right wing, got player of the year. The second season, I'd scored about 8 in the first 13 or 14 games. I was then running into the last year of my contract, and he'd brought in Paul Furlong, Mike Newell, Barry Orne, Brucey. He was starting. If you got $1,000 a week under Baz, you were doing well. But then Trevor was bringing people in on, big money as it was then. So I was I was in the last year of my contract, and I says, "Give me the same as what Paul Furlong's on." I think that was about $5,000 a week. Then
a lot of money then, isn't it?
Yeah. I says, "I'll have, if you give me the exact same deal as Paul Furlong, I'll fucking sign today as long as you want me to."
How's he playing? Furlong.
Well, I was top goal scorer, and I was playing every week. Furs wasn't. I think if you look, Furs had 7 years, and he was a great fella, Furs, but he was plagued by injury. So he had 7 years at the Blues, and I think if you look at his time, he probably averaged about 13 or 14 games a season.
So what you're asking for is not unreasonable,
no,
unrealistic.
I was doing as well as anyone Trevor had brought in.
It's about knowing your worth.
Yeah. But what annoyed me the most about Trevor, he went, "Well, no, we Paul Furlong's club record signing. Steve Bruce has had 9 years at Man U, and I know Barry Orne, Everton, and Mike Newell come in. So I appreciate that, but they're here now. They're not at Blackburn or Man U or whatever. They're here now." And he used to tell me in one breath, I'll never forget, it was away at Sheffield, funnily enough, he'd left me out the team again, and he was still wanting me to sign, but I'm going, "Well, I want a fair deal." And he says, "What do you think you're worth in today's market?" I said, "Well, that's not for me to say, is it?" I said, "You're only worth what anyone's willing to pay for you." He said, "At this moment in time," he said, "I would value you at about $2.5 million, which was what he paid for Paul Furlong." So that's what I said to him. I said, "Well, you bought Paul Furlong for that, and you won't give me the same deal." And he sort of went, "I don't know."
So it's in it for a little bit. I think about 750, 800 tops.
So in the end, we ended up sort of falling out. He bought me on as sub at Port Vale and took me off, which I didn't. Sub, yeah, for Tony Cotter. So at least I got some for the legend, which didn't go down too well with me. But yeah, I think I was fuming at the time, but I've mellowed a little bit about it now, and I could never win that argument because Trevor's God at St Andrews. But
and without obviously knowing numbers, how big a jump would it have been for you to be on Furlong's door?
I was on $1,200 a week. So
you're basically asking for 4 times as much.
Yeah, I said I think Furs was on $4,000 to $5,000 a week. And I said, I want the sign. But I don't want any more. I just want the sign. I mean, when you talk about it now, it's minuscule, isn't it, in the scheme of things?
But you must have known that if you were to move on, you'd get that. Roughly, you'd get that elsewhere.
But what it done, because it festered that long, and I know that they turned down offer from Middlesbrough, they turned down offer from Ipswich. Because I remember, Bruce used to come in on the train on a Monday to train. So I used to always drop him back to the train station. So we'd stop and have a beer while his train was coming with Brucey. And I remember him ringing Brian Robson in the car because he was talking to Brian Robson about it. And I know they wanted to sign me. I know Ipswich wanted to sign me when Craig Burley was there. And Trevor was holding out for, a decent fee. And it just festered and festered and festered. And in the end, I ended up going to Sheffield for 250 grand. Now, I would have loved to have stayed at the Blues and had 10 years at the Blues. But I just always felt that, and it happens, didn't it? I wasn't one of his signings, which I don't think helps. I don't think the fact that Newell and Furlong didn't come in and hit the ground running and score loads of goals, whereas I did. And I think the only other one from the Barry Fry era that lasted was Martin Granger. And it was a shame because I really wanted him to like me. And I wanted to, but it happens, then and we ended up falling out. I probably didn't handle it well at times. We just didn't see eye to eye really, and then he moved me on.
But you said, sorry, Chrissy, you said he played your best football.
Yeah.
Is that down to him? Did he get the best out of you?
No, but it's funny because I had a conversation today about this, and players down in tools, and when managers they don't like them and that. I always wanted to play for the fans and do it for myself, regardless of if I hated the manager. Even I remember playing with players I didn't particularly like with, but once you go over the line with them, you've all got that same goal to win the game. So I wouldn't say that he particularly inspired me. I was playing for a club that I went down to watch. That was that was inspiration enough for me. And obviously being top scorer and a Brummy lad and the adulation, that was all
confidence from
that. Yeah,
that
that was the confidence. And like I say, with me doing so well, I was really thinking, he's gonna love the fact I'm doing well. And it almost at times seemed to be the opposite. And like I say, we ended up having a party in the ways. I've bumped into him once or twice, seen him. We've had a chat, but it's a shame because, I would have loved to have had 10 years at the Blues and, scored a 50, 100 goal, whatever for him. But, I was lucky I got the chance to go back and sort of put the record straight a little bit.
We heard that he didn't like confrontation.
No.
Haven't we?
See, that's another thing as well. I was very much my character in the way I was. I had to have that confrontation. And managers that I played for with Baz, Steve Thompson, even Howard Kendall came to the nuts for a bit, Steve Bruce, Warnock. I could have that. I was never the one that needed the arm around the shoulder. It was a row and a boot up the arse. But I liked that. It sort of got it out of my system a little bit. And I never held a grudge, and they didn't hold a grudge. But Trevor wouldn't. You couldn't do that with Trevor because he wasn't comfortable doing it. So what he'd do, if he was going to leave you out, or he'd send someone else to do it, which I thought, well, that's
shit house,
yeah, it's the easy way out. Like Mick Mills or Arvil Lowe, the fitness coach. Dev, you're not training you're over there with the kids. Oh, fuck. So that was the wounder for me. But at least, that's his way. And I don't think he was just like that with me. I think he was like it with everyone. He wasn't that type of manager where he wanted confrontation. But it used to be great when he used to join in training, by the way. Fuck me, could he play? You couldn't get near him. We used to have a little bet, see who can kick him today, see who can bash. You couldn't get near him. And he'd have been 50 odd then. So he was some player. He was some player, Trevor.
Do you think knowing that you're a Blues fan and everything, do you think they just thought, we'll be able to get him cheaper?
Yeah, I think that was the case. And
Were there any negotiations? Sorry.
No, if
he'd have come in and said, "Do you know what, we'll give you 3.5.
Listen, I'd have signed for less, probably looking back. I was asking for that. But you asked for more, didn't you? And I'd have probably met him in the middle. But no, there was nothing like that. And I think the fact that obviously Brucey, but Brucey was a different story. Brucey forfeited his testimonial. So we knew what Brucey was on. Nobody was ever getting near that. But they'd come from Chelsea, Everton, Blackburn, big clubs at the time. Well, you've only come from Notts County. So I think there was a little bit of football snobbery there as well, if I'm being honest about it.
Yeah.
What were you like, Steve Bruce?
Brilliant. Great bloke. Love Brucey. I was fortunate. I played with him for a spell at Blues. Played with him and for him when he was at Sheffield because that was his first job as player manager. And then he brought me back to Blues the year we got promoted. But yeah, he was top, proper bloke, Brucey. And, playing with him for a little bit, you don't play for Man U for 9 years if you're a mug, do you? But when you actually play with him, you realise how good he was. He had this knack, and I don't know how he used to do it, because he ain't that tall, Brucey. He used to, say if they're kicking, and he'd go with the centre forward, touch, and then at the last minute he'd drop off, bring it down on his chest, and he'd fucking wrap it into you 100 mile an hour. So I remember me and Big Kevin Francis?
Oh,
Me and him were playing up front one night. So Brucey's done that, whipped it in. It's come off Kev's shin, about 30. It's come off.
That's what I went, ooh, that's what I meant.
So he's trying to hit it, and he had the hardest sort. And I says, "You ain't playing with fucking Cantona and Hughes now. It's a bit softer." But he was a brilliant bloke and a brilliant player, Brucey. So I love him. Yeah, him and Warnock. And Steve Thompson was great as well. But they were the managers that I love playing for, and three good spells with Brucey, to be fair.
Fitting Sheffield United straight away.
Yeah.
Did you feel like they're similar clubs?
Very, very similar in the fact that similar sort of fan base, similar sort of attendances. United had lived in Wednesday's shadow. Blues have lived in Villa's shadow, at that time for a long time. So really, really similar sort of mentality amongst the fans and the club. So it was easy to settle in there. I mean, the first year I was there, we got to the playoffs. Sunderland beat us. Sunderland had a great team. Kev Phillips and Noel Quinn. Obviously, Tomo didn't keep the job, and again we had a few managers, Adrian Heath and Russell Slade, and then before obviously Warnock coming.
Yeah,
I
remember that semi-final because did you win the home? You won at Bramall Lane.
Yeah, no, I can't remember whether they drew because I got cup tied. So this was another big bugbear of mine. I hadn't played in any of the FA Cup things leading up to that for Blues, and it was sort of half known I was going to get to Sheffield at some stage. Well, then Trevor put me on for 5 minutes in an FA Cup tie. So I couldn't play.
Cup tie,
yeah, in a cup tie. Well, this is my conspiracy brain working at. But yeah, so I ended up being. I played 5 minutes for Blues in the FA Cup. so I couldn't play in the semis against Newcastle.
You're not thinking about getting at the old, I've just fucking pulled my hamstring in the warm-up.
I was thinking about it, mate. Let me tell you.
Because he did say, what did he say? Was it a catalogue of tantrum throwing? He said. Justified?
100% in my head. 100% in my head.
Trevor Francis?
Yeah.
Well,
After you left.
Yeah, I remember as well. Trevor had the record for scoring in consecutive league games, which was either 6 or 7. And I think I was going to equal it or beat it. I can't remember. I never forget. It was a midweek game away at Tranmere, and I'd scored in 6 in a row or whatever. Say it was 7, I'd scored in 6 in a row. And we beat Tranmere 3-0, and he brought me off after 55 minutes. Yeah. So I'm thinking that because I could have equalled or beat his. So again, another one of my conspiracy theories.
So you're already winning the game comfortably, and he thought, "Fuck it, I'm taking him off."
Yeah, 3-0. I think Unlove scored a couple and Furs scored, but there was tantrums because.
What would he do? You know, when you say avoid confrontation, would you be going out in the dressing room and
I remember putting
the
windows through in the changing room at St Andrews and fucking off from Port Vale and getting the train on, loads of things because I'd got that wound up with it all. I mean, bringing me on the sub and bringing me off. I mean, it's a bit of an insult, you know.
It's the worst, I think,
and especially on top of what was going on at the time as well. I just felt like he'd done it just to make a point. So yeah, you know, I did throw. I threw many a tantrum everywhere, not just with Trevor.
Did you get changed before you got the train?
Yeah,
just straight out, click down platform.
I weren't full kitted, yeah.
But you smashed the windows.
Oh, you know the big Lucas Hyde thing? He took me off one time at St Andrews and I just fucking threw that through one of the windows. So there was a few things like that.
Tantrums.
Yeah, I think that you can categorise that as a tantrum. Very, very petulant at times. I've mellowed a bit now, but it was just because I wanted to do that well and I wanted to play.
Yeah. You might have been the reason you didn't like confrontation.
Probably, yeah. But I didn't want to come off. I didn't want to not start. It was, you know, everywhere I went, majority of my career I started. When I was told that I wasn't, you know, when I left Blues the last time, I had 2 years left on my contract. Brucey says, "You're 30, you're not going to play every week." That's fine for me. I'll go somewhere where
it's
I
justified.
Yeah. All I wanted was people to be honest with me and just say, "Listen, I don't think you're good enough, or you've been playing crap. You ain't going to play." Okay, none of this. Oh, we're going to rest you now for this game. Just be honest. And Aidy Boothroyd at Watford, you know, he was brilliant. I was 33, and I think I had a year left on my contract, and he says, "Listen, you've done brilliant for me."
Elton wants to pay you up.
Elton wants to see you for an extension.
His last album's not gone down too well. He wants to offer you 70%.
And he says, "I've got the chance to sign in Chris Eagles on loan. He's 20, you're 33. He's going to play, you're not. So if you want to get away, I'll help you." So, fine. And I went to Warsaw. So it was brilliant. Anything. Listen, people have opinions, don't they? And if you're not playing well enough, you know, you expect to be dropped or moved on. That was all I asked for. That just be straight. And like I say, the good managers, the real managers that I got on with, were straight as a die. Baz, Warnock, Tomo, Brucey, they were all straight down the line.
It's funny because you think managers would know that. The way to get a player's respect is just be honest.
Yeah.
And for some reason,
they're just shit houses, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are shit houses.
I mean, you ain't going to like it if somebody's telling you you're not playing well or they don't want you. It's a blow to your ego, isn't it? But at least you know.
Take it,
you think, well, does he think I'm a good player? Does he not think I'm a good player? Not knowing where you stand is the hard part, I think, as a player.
That's the worst bit.
Yeah, because you can't get your head around it. Once you get your head around it, you just do what you need to do then, don't you?
Did you play with Curtis at Sheffield and then Birmingham?
Yeah, not so much at Blues, but he came through as a kid at Sheffield and he was phenomenal at 8. Youngest, I think even to this day, youngest ever captain of Sheffield. You know,
Curtis Woodhouse,
yeah. You know, I remember a cup game away at Arsenal and he's played against Petit and Vieira. He was fucking outstanding. Bear in mind, he's only that big, Curtis. You know, and he's got torn. He had a bit of everything, left-footed, real good, hard tackler, could play. And at 18, I honestly thought that this kid's going to go on to have a top football career. I mean, he's had a life that, bloody hell, not many people, you know, could say they've done what he's done. And he's a great lad. Still keep in touch with Curtis. He's coming down in June with Wayne Quinn. They're stopping at my house and we're going to have 1 or 2 beers and a game of golf. But yeah, you know, I thought he was destined for great things, Curtis, but it just didn't quite work out for him. You know, he still went for over £1 million and played X amount of games in England under 21. So it's not as if he didn't do anything in the game, but I thought he'd have gone on to to have a top.
Is he the one who because we've all seen him, haven't we? We thought they're going to be incredible. Is he the one who you thought is wasted the term?
No, I wouldn't say wasted, because you're still looking. He played a few hundred games, and he played at a good level. He went for big dough at periods in his career. So I wouldn't say he wasted it. I'd say he didn't fulfil it.
Yeah.
But we had a good young crop of kids. Wayne Quinn, great player, ended up going to Newcastle for a few quid. Lee Morris, really quick forward. So there was them three. I'd say Quinny, Mazza and Curtis were all coming through at that time and all sort of broke into the first team. And then underneath them, we had like Jagielka, Montgomery, Michael Tong, who all went on to have really good careers as well. So the youth system at Sheffield at the time was brilliant, because you had all them lads sort of coming in one after the other.
I think he messaged on Twitter, Curtis, did he said, ask about a trip to Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah. Bloody hell. Well, the longest day trip in my life. It was end of season, and at the end of every season, I used to have 9 days in Glasgow, because my dad's family and all that side are from a place called Coatbridge, just outside Glasgow. So I'd always do 9 days, so I could get 2 weekends on the piss up there. So,
I'm just trying to figure that way. 9 days.
You always get 2 weekends, didn't you? So that was always my routine. And why not come? And it was the year I got player of the year. He's coming. He's gone 9 days in Trinidad, lads. All the lads are going, fucking hell. The last thing you want to do after a season is go away with the lads, maybe for a weekend, not for 9 days. And it was one of them, if supporters wanted to come, they could come, and this and that. So everyone's got to go. I'm pleading, and in the end, I'm like pleading, don't make me go. I don't want to go. No, everyone's going. Everyone's got to go. You're player of the year, Benter, you're top scorer. You've got to go, lads. Everyone's going. No exceptions. Fair enough. So I got picked up from Bramall Lane, I don't know, 3 a.m. I always remember, because we had to be at Gatwick, I think, for 6:30, something like, really early. So I picked it up saying, where's all the foreign lads? Bruno Ribeiro and I don't know, Big George Santos and that. We had about half a dozen foreign lads who were meant to be there. They just binned it. They just didn't show up. So I'm fuming then. So we're going down to things. So 5 or 6 of the lads have just blatantly binned it. So we've got into Gatwick.
Are you going to be training and playing over here? Or?
Yeah, playing.
Yeah.
It weren't a jolly up. I think we was playing 2 or 3 games and training every day at the end of the season. And so my head's gone completely. So we've got to Gatwick, looking straight in the bar. So I've gone straight in the bar, saying who's bowling? Curtis is bowling. Lee Sanford's bowling. So in the end, we've ended up in the bar from about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Got on the plane, and I never forget it. I've never heard it. It's Carib beer. I don't know what airline it was. There weren't no dolly birds on this plane. They were all like 6-foot doormen. And it's a 9-hour flight to Trinidad. And within 5 hours, we drank the plane dry. Right, we drank. Warnock was in first class with his family. Right?
It had to be, didn't it?
So in the end, you got the lads opening bottles of vodka and fucking down in the vodka. Mayhem on the plane, wasn't there? So at some point, obviously, I've got a little bit too drunk. I've ended up having a bit of a rave with Michael Brown. So it got to the stage where I was going to fucking kill Michael Brown. And they've had to get all the people back. We're going to land the plane and have you arrested. So Warnock sort of calmed it down. He's had to come down from first class. They've had to,
hold me drink, love. Yeah. The kids are playing up. Hold me drink, love.
So they've had to put Michael Brown in first class. And I'll never forget it. So I must have fell asleep at some stage. And I remember waking up. So we had the kit man, Alan Gleeson, who's a great lad, Gleeson, and Warnock there. And I'm lying across the pair of them like that. And Warnock's like...
head on his lap?
Yeah. So Warnock's like stroking my head. To make... No, don't let him wake up. Whatever you do, don't let him wake up. So anyway, I woke up. So I'm still paranoid. All the lads are lagging. So they had like a civic reception thing as soon as we got off there. And it was one of them, you got to line up and this is the mayor or the ambassador to Trinidad. So we've got off the plane. I've walked past them, walked straight to the bar again. So he's gone to Alan Gleeson. Gleeson's telling me this years after. He's gone, get Dev, get him out of here now. Get him back to the hotel. Under no circumstances let him have any more to drink. Get him straight to bed. Sit on the bed, just don't let him any more to drink. We'll get you a taxi now. So this taxi's come. So we're going, ended up back at the hotel. I've ended up taking the taxi driver and Gleeson on the drink. Right, so we've gone back to it. I've got the taxi driver in the bar. Alan Gleeson in the bar, right? I think I've ended up having a scrap with somebody from Aberdeen in the bar. I was just mayhem. But what was comical, I remember there, like, the taxi driver's having the time of his life. Gleeson's just give up. He's just give up. So he's like trying to nip fog and keep him under control. So I remember Warnock and the chairman coming, all smiling up, and he's walked round, seen me in the bar, and his face has just dropped. So I've ended up going to bed. So I've woke up in the morning. You're in the horrors, ain't you? I mean, oh, bloody hell. So Kevin Blackwell's come up, Dev, the gaffer wants to see you. Gone downstairs, and Warnock's sitting by the pool. He's gone, I realise I've made a mistake bringing you. I said, I fucking told you that. I told you that yesterday. Don't bring me. So he's gone, no, I've made a right mistake here. He said, we've got you on a flight back in a few hours' time. He says, but I cannot leave you at the hotel because I know what you'll do. He said, and all them Barbie fuckers will go drinking with you, Curtis and Quinny and all them. So he had like loads of appearances to do around the island, and he dragged me around with him to prisons, to schools, and fucking hell, it was torture. And then he put me back, like, I think it was Dean Riddle, the fitness coach, and Trinidad Airport. Have you ever been there? Oh, it's ramshackle. So he's like, make sure he gets on the plane, get him away. So it was the same cabin crew. So I was so embarrassed. Like, kidding on, I was asleep. So I got back to Gatwick. I told my ex-missus who was with at the time, I pulled my hamstring the first day I was here, and he said I could come back. So she didn't know anything about my antics. So I've got back, and I always remember I'm on the phone at Gatwick and speaking to her, and I turned around and Trevor McDonald was standing right next to me. I thought, I'm imagining this, or that's Trevor. No, just a surreal moment. So I've managed to get the flight to Glasgow then. So, great, fucking big detour to get to Glasgow via Trinidad for 12 hours. So I've got there, and 6 or 7 days in, Warnock's rang me. He's gone, listen, he said, I've had the news of the world on. He said, they know what flight you're coming back to Birmingham on. They're going to run with you. You've threatened to kill one of your teammates on the plane. They were going to have you arrested and land the plane in Bahamas or somewhere like. Don't get that flight back. So luckily enough, he tipped me off, and I didn't know. And it sort of all, I had to come clean to the missus at the time and that. But it all sort of died down. But it was the longest day of my life. A day trip to Trinidad. I was actually there less time than it took me to get there. And it was horrific. But I told him, I said, don't make me go. Don't make me go to Trinidad. And the lads had to stick 9 days out there. So it was a bit eventful, to say the least.
Did it make the papers?
No, it never in the end. It never. I don't know. I mean, you'd never get away with it today.
No.
Never get away with it. But,
You'd be getting arrested.
A day trip to Trinidad.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned seeing you have a fight with Bendy. I'm assuming it's Marcus Bent.
Yeah.
He must have been in the youth team because he's seen it happen.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a cup game, but I got on great with Benty before. I got on great with him after. It was just one of them fucking flashpoints on the pitch. We were playing Cardiff or Lincoln. I can't remember, but I think we were about 4-1 up. Benty had got hat-trick, and I'd set up 2 of his goals. And he's gone down the byline. He's literally on the byline. All he's got to do is cut it back to me, and I'm tapping it. And he's tried to shoot. So we've had a bit of a row. So then the ball's gone down. And we've ended up pushing and shoving each other right in front of the goal. So Warnock fucking dragged Benty, innit? So I'm thinking, fucking, that ain't going to go down too well. So I played the whole game. So I've gone in the changing rooms after. It was at the time, Bramall Lane had the really old ceramic tiles. So if you went in there with your studs, it was like you were on fucking ice skates. So I've gone in full kit. And well done, lads, this and that. So Benty's come walking out the toilet, start bollock naked, pointing and shouting and bawling at me. So then I'm stood there, and he's come over and he's doing it. I'm not your bitch. Fuck this, fuck that. So Warnock's just gone, let him get on with it, let him go. So he's like done that and gone head to head. He was a big lad, Bench. I thought, I'm only getting one shot at this. So as soon as he's put his head down, I've gone bang. I've slipped over. I've tried to grab him. He's soaking wet. He's gone like an eel. Slipped through. So we're rolling round. Fucking 30 seconds, 40 seconds on
and
the
he's
floor.
flapping about.
Yeah, I couldn't get a grip of him because he's soaking wet and naked. I've got my full kit on. I can't stand up because my boots are going everywhere. And then obviously all the lads have jumped in, and Warnock's just gone, right, you 9 o'clock in the morning, you 9:15 in the morning. Now, like I say, that year I'd played really well. Benty was top scorer. He went that season for like 3.5 million to Blackburn. So I've pulled up. I don't know whether I was the 9 or the 9:15 one. So anyway, the car park at Bramall Lane's huge and massive. Nobody on the car park. So I've pulled up. Fucking who's pulled up next to me at the same time? Benty. So I'm thinking, fuck, mate, it's round 2 on the car. none of the lads here to dive in either. Fucking hell. So I've got it full of I thought I'll just brazen it out. And Benty's got Dave. And I've got, listen, but he had about 6 stitches in his lip there. And it was like that. He said, I can't even drink a cup of tea. But we got out. Warnock said this, and this was where Warnock was great. He said, what are you pair of dopey fuckers doing? He said, you're going to get a big move at the end of the season. You're playing it, blah, blah. Never fine us. Never that he went, fucking don't let it happen again. And that's where he was brilliant, his man management like that. And got on great with Benty after that. Great lad, Benty. But it was just one of them things, heat of the moment thing, and it was all forgotten about after. But he mentioned it in his book, and a lot of it was blown up to be bigger than it. I mean, that happens every day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And it was blown out of proportion a little bit. But I had to get the first one in.
It must have been a good one, all if it's stitched up.
It was 6 stitches, yeah. It was always a good one, yeah.
Am I right in saying that you had a 4-year contract, but did you go in again for a pay rise?
No, what it was, I was coming to the end of my contract. It makes me feel all right, money grab.
Honestly, you sound like a right greedy bastard to me.
Yeah, no, I was coming to the end of my contract, and Derek Dooley was chairman, great fella, Derek, and obviously Warnock was there. So they said they're not giving out any more than 2 years. I said, well, what a chance of a rise. He went, no, we can't. We're not categorically not giving anyone any pay rises, and it's only 2 years. And I would have been about late 20s, knocking at 30.
Playing well.
Yeah, playing well. I was playing well, playing every week, doing well. So I'm thinking this is going to be my last decent contract, really. So in the end, after toing and froing, it was like, no, nobody's getting any pay rises. There will be no one bought in on any more money than what the lads who are signing. Nobody. So, but we'll give you an extra 2 years. So I had 4 years. So I thought, that'll do. A little bit of stability. Take me up to my mid-30s. A week later, he signed Carlos Saber on twice the dough. So it was
Tantrum time.
Yeah, no, not so much that. The reason why I left Sheffield, unless I was happy with 4 years, I loved it up there. I made some great pals up there. I was enjoying my time. Brilliant club. I had 4 years. I got tapped up.
Yeah.
I got tapped up to go to Palace when Brucey was at Palace. Now, going down to London, it's you're going to get a big contract, aren't you? Would you come there? I said, well, if you can agree a fee with Sheffield, yeah. So that was talked about. Then, obviously, Brucey left. He got the Birmingham job, and he said, will you come to Birmingham? I said, well, yeah, if you can agree. And that's how it all... It wasn't to do with that. It was just the fact that I got tapped up and I got the chance to go back to Blues. Looking back now, I handled it completely my fault. I handled it the wrong way. But again, hats off to Warnock. He was brilliant about it. It's sort of... I got a little bit of stick from the media and the crowd, and rightly so. I just signed a 4-year deal. Then a year into that, I was jumping ship basically, and he left me out the team. He says, "Try not," but it wasn't a case of don't come to training because he knew I'd be an headache for him if I come into training.
That'll be worse than.
Yeah, he said, "So just do your own thing." He says, "Keep fit." He said, "I'll keep you in the loop." Never fell out with me or nothing. So this dragged on for a couple of weeks, and it didn't look like the Blues move was going to happen. So Warnock rang me. He's gone, "Get yourself back up here. Blues is off the table now. We've got Norwich away. You're going to play?" Fucking fair enough. I got my head round it because Brucey had gone into Birmingham, and then he got, "We've got a lot round the 30 mark. Do I really want to be signing another 30-year-old player?" So it's sort of all... He left me in the lurch, really.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because I'd half burnt my bridges up there, and then he's gone, "Oh, maybe not." So I went back. I thought, I'll get my head down, get playing. Played the Norwich game. On the bus on the way back, Warnock's on to me, he says, "Make sure you got all your boots and that. You're going to Blues tomorrow." Well, fucking hell, what's happening there? Blues had a bad run. And I think David Sullivan stepped in and to Bruce and gone, "No, let's get him back," sort of thing. And then I went on loan to the end of the season. So I signed like a couple of months loan deals, and then I signed just before the playoff final. But again, Warnock handled it great, in my opinion. I didn't burn bridges with him. He didn't burn any bridges with me.
Completely different to the Trevor Francis situation.
Yeah. It was very much a case of, right, it's not going to happen. They've come back and play. I want you in the team, which was great. And then obviously come back for one game, and then he told me it was going to happen. So obviously I got a little bit of stick off the fans down the years. And rightly so, because they support Sheffield. They're looking at me. I've signed 4 years and I've jumped ship after a year. But, looking back now, from a career point of view, it was the right decision because I got promoted with Blues, played in the Premiership, and that was a catalyst to get an international call-up because I wasn't playing any better the year in the Premiership with Blues that I had been for the previous 6 or 7 years for Sheffield and Blues before that.
So just the fact you were in the Premier League?
Yeah, definitely. Football snobbery again. But it worked out well for me in the end. I still have regrets the way I did it or the way it worked out because I did have 4 great years. You know, I played more games for Sheffield than I did Blues. So it was a big part of me, you know, my life and my career. So if I could turn the clock back, I would have still done the same thing, but I'd have probably approached it a little bit differently.
That move to Birmingham back to your club might not have happened.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, I think sometimes when you get the opportunity in football and it's something you want, you have to go out your way to.
You've got to be a fucker, haven't you?
Yeah, you have to go out.
I've said it many a time on here.
You have to go out your way to make it happen. You know, it was unfortunate because Derek Dooley, the chairman at the time, was a real top fella, and I got on great with Neil, and the fans were brilliant to me. So it was a shame that, you know, I ended up upsetting all them. And like I say, probably looking back on my career, that's probably, you know, the biggest regret I've got is the way it ended at Sheffield. Yeah.
Before we leave Sheffield, did you play with Billy Whitehurst?
No, I didn't play with him. Well, I was his drinking partner for a couple of years. Big Bill, legend of the game, Bill. But when I signed, he had the Cricketers' Arms, which anyone that knows Bramall Lane, it's 20 yards away from Bramall Lane. So Tony Agana, he was like a bit of a mythical character, Billy, down the years. Because I'd spoke to Tony Agana and who's this Billy? It's like, does he really exist? This man can't be that mad and he can't be that tough. And so, obviously, went to Sheffield, went to meet him, hit it off with him straight away. A very good friend of mine, Paddy in Sheffield, who's godfather to my son, was a big pal of his. So I ended up being really pally with Billy, using the Cricketers all the time and going out boozing with him. And he took me to where he was from in Thurnscoe. And I had many a night out with him. But I always remember Brucey saying to me one time, see, I come in one Monday morning and Billy was in there in Brucey's office. So he's got, yeah, okay, Brucey, see you later. Hey, Devlin. He walked out. So Brucey's come out. He's gone like that. He says, Dev, he said, I've played all over the world. He said, against the best players in the world. He said, that's the only man that frightens me to the fucking bone. I've gone, what did he want, Gaffer? He says, he had a daughter called Hayley. He said, Hayley wants to be a masseuse or a physio or something. Can she come over and do work experience? Massaging the lads. I'm going, Billy, do you really want to round the lads, massaging the lads? Yeah, no, but she'll be fine. None of them were fucking right. None of them were.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
He managed to talk Billy into, what about if we give her a job in the ticket office? So she ended up coming out. But Billy was great. I mean, I had many a night out. And he is. I always remember Tony Agana telling me a story when Dave Bassett took him away to, I think it was Florida, Miami, somewhere like that. So he's rooming with Tony. Tony was a great fella, big tough kid as well, Tony. So Billy said to him, right then, Tony, he said, a bit cranky of the mornings. Don't wake me up. Go downstairs and ring me from reception. Give me 5 minutes to come round. So Tony's going, fuck off, Bill. And like, bashing out. No, if I was you, I'd do it. He said, so every morning, Dev, I'd have to fucking creep out of bed, go down to reception, ring Billy. Bill, all right, yeah, I'm up now, Tony, you can come back up. Because he said if you woke him up and he didn't know where he was, he'd fucking clunk you. But everyone, look, the players sort of Bruce's era and, you know, that sort of age group, to a man, they all say he's the hardest player they ever played against. You know, I remember going to see Alan Hansen at an after-dinner thing and he says the same, just fearless. And to be fair, you know, I don't remember Billy as a player really, but he had some great clubs, Newcastle, Sunderland, you know, clubs like that. So he weren't no mug, but he's like a mythical character. And I said earlier on, if ever you could get him on here, you'd have some stories to tell, Billy, I tell you.
Is he as tough as what they say then?
Yeah. I mean, listen, Mick Harford, who was a hero of mine, obviously from down the Blues, Tony Colton, Noel Blake, people like that. But I think the general feeling is that Billy was the man. I've seen him in action a couple of times. I'll wait till he's about 90 before I'd ever. And I still wouldn't back myself then. No, but good fella, Bill. I got on really well with Bill. He got kicked out the Cricketers in the end, so he had this party on never forget, it was a Sunday night. So we'd been out all day. We used to have a little tour around Sheffield. Then we get back to the Cricketers about tea time. So obviously bed down for the night then. And Billy's standing up the bar and he's absolutely lagging. So this bloke's coming, who obviously Billy must have given a slap to down the years, thinking, this will be my last chance to have a go at Billy. And he's walked up to Billy and he's punched Billy straight in the face. Bear in mind, Billy weren't expecting it and he's like leaning on the bar. And it was as if somebody had switched the light switch and Billy sobered up straight away. He just went bump, knocked this geezer spark out in front. We're all there watching. We couldn't believe the bloke was down. fucking daft enough to do it. Aye. So then he had this nutcase who used to work for him called Eric from Sunderland. And he had this even barmiest, this Staffordshire Bull Terrier, bit everyone in the pub. Fucking everyone. When it used to come out, I was you didn't want to make eye contact with him. So he's gone, Eric, get Jack. Fucking out the door. Jack's come down and just started fucking biting this geezer lying on the floor. Right? And they've just picked him up and threw him outside, as if nothing had happened. And I think the police showed up later on that night. The police car ended up on its roof, trying to get everyone out. And it was just, I think that was Billy's last hurrah.
His last one song.
I don't think there was any glasses left in the pub the next. Apparently, the woman who took over the pub came in with the brewery the day after and just broke down in tears. When it was like a Wild West, like a scene out of the Wild West. That was Billy's farewell.
Jack.
I'd love to see him play.
Oh yeah.
What were they like, by the way, them Sullivan and Gold and that? What were they like?
I got on great with them. I mean, I used to speak to
A few dildos here and there, like special package for the player.
Listen,
something for the lads and girlfriends.
I'd have been more worried if one of my previous chairmen had sent me a dildo. Let me tell you. But,
you weren't your chairman, we sponsor, weren't it?
But no, I mean, obviously, you used to see David Gold and Ralph Gold more than we did David Sullivan. But they took the club out the doldrums. I mean, in the end, I have a few arguments with Blues fans because we handed them out in the end, or partly handed them out, not totally. But in my sort of, I'm 49 now, in my sort of era, watching, supporting and playing for the Blues, the only time we've known real stability is when they've been in charge. And what I will say about, obviously, David Sullivan and Kevin McCabe as well, I mean, you know yourselves, you don't have much contact with chairman, do you? When my daughter got ill a few years ago, and we nearly lost her, and she's ended up with a lifelong condition, David Sullivan emailed me, Kevin McCabe emailed me. We've done a bit of fundraising for it. They helped me out with a bit of fundraising, so I'll always have the utmost respect.
That says a lot.
Yeah, they didn't
have to do that.
They don't need to do that. People at their level don't need to do that. So I thought that was a real classy touch from the pair of them, and you'll never hear me slag Sullivan and Gold and Brady and Kevin McCabe and people like that. Because, as well as what they've done for the club, on a personal point of view, I've got a lot of respect for the way they help.
I can just imagine the kit man coming in with a big black bin liner and just going, "Go on, lads, fill your boats." He's just all fucking Frankie Vaughan. You know what I mean? The chairman, the owners have sent this down, lads. Go and fucking crack on. You got tomorrow off. We'll have a good day with that, lads.
Well, let me tell you, if they did, the bag would soon be emptied by the lads. There'd be none left in there, I tell you.
Clinton Morrison there then?
Yeah, Clinton come. We signed Clinton. Brucey got a bit of stick for it, actually, because, do you remember Andy Johnson?
Yeah.
Well, IJ was coming through as a kid then, and he let IJ go in part of the deal to sign Clinton.
From Palace, was it?
Yeah, we signed Clinton from Palace. But everyone's gone, we should have kept that. But IJ wasn't in the first team. He was a promising young kid, whereas Clinton was the main man, young man in the Championship, scoring all the goals. So I think we give them IJ and $3.5 million, and we signed Clinton. Then obviously IJ went on to Everton, England, to have a.
You can never know that, can you?
No, because and that's why I don't think you could slag Brucey back, because he wasn't in the first team. He wasn't a regular in the first team. So IJ probably needed to get away to get in the team and establish himself. And he went on to have a great career.
Was he ready for the first team? Looking at him.
It's difficult to say. You wouldn't have said, he's got to be starting every week. You knew the kid had blistering pace. You knew he had something, but you wouldn't have said, well, why is he not playing and Jeff's playing or Stern John's playing? You wouldn't have put him in front of them. He was only very, very young at the time, don't forget.
Yeah.
Were you in the dressing room when Clinton's mum come in with handbag?
No. I've heard the stories, and I think she could have been a bit lively down the years, Clinton's mum. But
attacking who?
Was there a bit of kerfuffle in the tunnel? And I don't know where Clinton's mum comes in.
I don't know. Clinton was a great kid, though. Brilliant. Real good fella, Clinton. The life and soul. He's never off the telly now. He's on more than the newsreaders now, Clinton. But yeah, good lad, Clinton. But yeah, it was a great time to be at the Blues. We had some good characters down there at that time.
You got on with Robbie Savage?
Sav was great. Roomed with him. Absolute crackpot. Yeah, roomed with him for probably a season and a half. He had this ritual for away games. We'd get to the hotel again. Right, lads, everyone in bed, 8, 9 o'clock. So he'd always say to me, Dev, give me 15 minutes. Let me go in. And it was like, do you remember the Pink Panther films with Kato? Fucking search. I'd go into the room. He'd be hiding somewhere, always naked, always stark bollock naked. and he'd jump out on me, we'd have to wrestle until I got on top of him and had him round the throat. Then he'd go, yeah, that's it. And it was like every and I thought, if ever Brucey was to walk in now, I'm on top of him, strangling him. He's completely naked. He used to say, "Oh, you got me in the death choke. You've got me in the death choke now." And then he'd get to bed. Yeah, that's right. So I'd managed, because he's only about 3 stone wringing wet at the time, so I'd end up strangling him. And then he'd tap out, we go to bed as if nothing. That was every away game, every single away game.
You've got Marcus Bent rolling around naked. And then you've got Robbie Savage every night. And next minute, Elton's on the phone.
They're all right.
Get him to Watford.
They're all after me, aren't they?
So it's 15 minutes wait for him to go have a wank?
No, I thought he was going to have that or have a shit or something like that. No. But it was just, I think, for him to get naked and find his hiding place. Find out where he can fucking hide.
There's not a great deal of pleasures to hide in an hotel room.
But no, Sav was great. And to be fair, he'd done unbelievable for Blues. He was, fucking hell, for 2 years, easily our best player. And until I played with him, I didn't realise how good he was.
A lot of people say that, don't they?
You know, fucking hell. Everyone had this image of him running around like a lunatic, annoying everyone, and that was only part of it. He's got great pass through the ball, great delivery off set pieces, a real good lad to have around the dressing room. Always laughing, taking the piss. I remember Keith Birchin once. He's rang up Keith Birchin. It was April Fool's Day. He's gone, Birch, I've had a nightmare, because he lived in Leicester. So our training ground was the other side of Birmingham, Solihull, Wast Hills. We'd always leave from there for away games. He said, I've had a nightmare. He said, don't tell the gaffer, whatever you do. The fucking new Lamborghini's broke down. You're going to have to fucking whiz down to fucking Junction, whatever. Pick me up. Yeah. Please don't tell Brucey. Hurry up. So fucking Birch, he was a bit of a panicker anyway, Birch.
New Lamborghini.
Yeah, so he's gone, Sav's broke down. Bear in mind, Sav's the main man. Everything was built round Sav at the time. So he's gone shooting off, he's been gone out the car park 30 seconds, Birch. Fucking Sav pulls in, then he's round the corner ringing, sent him down to Leicester. So we've all got on the bus, gaffer, where's Birch? And Birch ends up getting a bollocking because he's late on the bus and fucking Sav had him in the net. But he was just full of stuff like that, Sav. Real cat, good lad, real good lad.
Did you go on, would you agree?
Brilliant, yeah, the coolest man you ever met.
How when he walked in? I
thought he was a male model. 6'2", the long, and watch him in training, you know, such ability, and he could do the step over, and he had everything. But it was mad, because all of a sudden you got like a World Cup Euro winner training at Birmingham. I know they've had World Cup winners years ago with Tarantini and that, but he came in, no airs or graces about him. Real good lad, down to earth, and done. He was like the cherry on the cake. We'd have stopped up that first year with or without him, if I'm being honest. But he scored a few goals later on, and what he done with the ball, he was like, just made it that special season it was. But I remember, if we had a Saturday game, Brucey would run the bollocks off us or work us on a Tuesday, have Wednesday off. So you're taking that, ain't you? So we had this mad physio, Neil McDermott from Sunderland, the fittest bloke you'll ever meet. So on the Tuesday, right, we do a circuit in the gym, the rower, the weights, the runner. So we're all sitting round, going mad. So we're about 15, 20 minutes in, and Brucey's in there just watching, drinking his cup of tea, and, right, lads, change over, bro. Going as hard as you can, knowing you got Wednesday off. So fucking 20 minutes in, half hour in, Christoph got a saucer and a cup of tea. Just pokes his head round the door, like, you can see all us like going mad, music blaring. So Neil McDermott, the physio, I think it was fucking Orso, someone was on the rower. He's gone, Christoph, fucking light. He said, pointed to the rower like that. He's gone, 1 minute, you jump on that. And he just took a sip of his tea and went, footballer, not rower. He fucked up and drank his tea. And like Bruce, we've all looked at Bruce and he's gone, when you win the World Cup, you can do that. But he was great. He was great. And, I don't really think he wanted to play much beyond that, because his knees were shot. He didn't want to play much beyond that season, but I think he'd done that well. They couldn't not throw a load of dough at him to sign, and he ended up signing another season. But he was brilliant, real good fella.
Do you have that Cantona aura?
Yeah. Yeah, right. He was a big old lad. He must have been 6'2", 6'3", and he had the long hair at the time. And yeah, one of them. You knew he was in the room before you saw him, and he done brilliant for us. And he's held in such cult status down the Blues. Yeah. Now people say Blues best ever player. Not, you still get some say him that didn't see Trevor Francis, and I think he played 20, 30 games. Yeah. So that was the impression, the impact that he had on Blues.
So in some dressing rooms, that'd cause a problem, but we are just like, tell you what, he's fucking that good. He's done that much. We can't complain. We'll get on that rower.
I mean, you got to give someone who's had that career respect anyway. And the fact that he come in, he wasn't a big time Charlie. and he done really well. He just, the lads just took to him straight. There wasn't any sort of, well, he's come in and he's on this, that, the other. It was just fucking hell. We got Christoph do. Look what he can do with the ball.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant.
Did he used to come on the Christmas duels and team nights out and stuff like that?
He wasn't quite the 15 or 16 points, man. He liked a bit of ball. The first year we got up, we played in a competition in Malaysia. There was us, Chelsea, Newcastle, and the Malaysian national team. So we've travelled to this. We're all stopping in the same hotel there in Kuala Lumpur. So we've landed there about 3 or 4 in the morning to the hotel. So Bruce has gone, quickly put your bags in the room, down to reception, give you the... Basically, lay the law down, what you can do, what you can't do. So we've all gone up again. We're all downstairs. The jet lag and everything. You don't know whether you're coming or going. So we're all there. No sign of Christoph. We're all there in club tracksuits and all that. Fucking 20-odd hour flight, whatever it is. Where's Christoph? No sign of Christoph again. So Bruce is talking away. So you just hear a ping and the lift doors open. So Christoph walks out in a linen shirt, open to about there, ripped jeans and a pair of... Look like fucking something off Miami Vice. He's come bowling out like that. So we're all like that. What's Brucey going to say? So Brucey's turned out. He's gone, Christoph, where are you going? He said, I'm going out. I just fucked up. We can come back in about 5. So he liked a night out. So we're all looking at Brucey's just gone, World Cup, lads. World Cup.
Let Bruce's get out. He's won the World Cup.
Won the World Cup, yeah. So he liked a night out and that. But he was, he'd say, like, what are you doing for your holidays at the end of the season? Oh, might be Magaluf for a week or Mali. What are you doing? He says, me and Zizi are on his yacht for a couple of weeks, sailing around the Med. Zidane was his best pal. That was
different ball game.
Yeah, it was a different life. But brilliant to be around someone like that, really.
Me and Zizi.
I got to tell you this quick one. We played away at Charlton, and Brucey says to me and Stan Lazaridis, not playing with any wingers today. You two can't fucking defend. Going to try and pack it out. Yeah, fair enough. And Christoph and Ors played up front. Never forget it, Charlton away, 1-2-0. I think Ors and Christoph both scored. But when you used to do the stats, I think Duga, he sprinted 3 times in the 90 minutes. Ors has done like 480 sprints. He was like fucking Rambo Ors this day. He's running in the channels, he's bashing the centre halves, and he's fucking doing this and doing that. Christoph basically stood there for the whole game. So anyway, somebody's whizzed the ball into him and he's tried to like flick it like that, do a little crawl flick.
Horse has.
And it's hit against his own foot and bounced off his knee and gone to one of their players. So Bruce, he's drinking water. He threw it on the floor. He's gone, that fucking Barnsley bricklayer. Who does he think he is? Fucking gone, and at least rants. So I'm sitting next to Stan Lazaridis. I'm going, fucking hell, the big man's been unbelievable for all this time. Christoph done one flick and it come off. He's gone, that he's a magician. He's a magician, that man. Absolute genius. He's fucking tried a leg. 80 minutes. But it was comical, and Ors had been unbelievable. But he ended up scoring that day, and it was awful. But they complemented each other well, because Ors would do all the honourable, and then you just give the ball to Christoph, basically.
A fair few asked about Luciano Figueroa. Were you there with him?
He'd completely gone off my mind. The sign this kid, he's going to be the next. This is going to be the next.
It's like 3.5 million or something.
I don't think he played a game.
Yeah.
He just come, and there was all this build-up around him. If he ever kicked a first-team ball, I can't remember. I just remember him at Wast Hills. They could barely speak any English, and basically coming there and not trying a leg the whole time he was there. So that was it.
Says it all.
Yeah.
And then Brucey signed him.
I can't even remember him signing. I'd never thought about him for 15 years. I don't know where he came from and where he went to. I don't even think he was a real player. I think some agent has just made him up and we signed him. But yeah, he didn't hit it off, to say the least, down there.
During that period as well, you got your for Scotland call up?
Yeah, I was 30. I was 30 when I got my first cap. And like I say, I think the catalyst for that was just that I was playing in the Premiership. And it was ever so strange because my dad was sat behind Archie Knox. In the whole of St Andrews, my dad ended up sitting behind Archie Knox and heard him on the phone doing a report. He was playing Newcastle. So my dad knew I was going to get the call up before I knew because he heard him. And then obviously...
Tell you?
Yeah, he told me. And then I had a phone call from Bertie Vokes. Would you be interested? And then I had the letter and ended up playing 10 times. So yeah, that was brilliant. Look, come at 30 years of age, and
Proud moment though.
Yeah, brilliant. Because like I say, it wasn't a long distant grandparent. My dad and all that side, I used to spend all the summer holidays.
9 days in the dog.
Yeah, 9 days. You know, so it was a big part of my life growing up, going up to Scotland. You know, on a really regular basis. So it was great to get the chance to get an international cap, and obviously played in a couple of big games. Played in the Euros against Germany, 1-1 at Hampden, and then I think the fucking beat us about 6-1 in Dortmund. We played against Figo at Portugal, and so yeah, it was a brilliant thing to. Probably, if I'm being honest, it all come a little bit too late, really, and it was, you know, Bertie's spell there wasn't great, but it's still something nobody can take away from him.
I was going to say, was it a shambles under him? That's the outside looking in.
It was strange because there's a man that was obviously a world class player, won the World Cup, won the Euros, you know, everything in the game. But he couldn't. He used to have this thing where he'd have to play people in a position that didn't play. I mean, it was the only time I had this ever done to me. He named the team once, and we'll never forget, we was playing Iceland in a Euro qualifier. So he's named the team. I'm starting, happy days. So on a Thursday night, then we'd got to Hampden. First team had played the Resis, obviously at Hampden. So I set the team out. I'm playing wing back. Now I ain't got a fucking defensive bone in my body. I've only ever played right wing, right midfield, or down the middle off a big man. So as what normally happens, first team reserves, we've lost about 3-0 on the pitch. They've all come down my side because I don't know where I've got to stand or what I've got to do. So bear in mind, he's already named me in the team. Got back to Cameron House. Tommy Burns, God rest him, who was his assistant, come around and said, the gaffer wants to see you. He's gone, you're not comfortable playing there. I said, I fucking could have told you that. And he left me out then. So he dropped me. So he actually named the team with me in it. I was that bad on the practice game. He fucking left me out. So then the game come, we're 1-1. He reverted back to 4-4-2, took someone off, put me on right wing. I've gone on and set the goal up for Lee Wilkie. But yeah, but he couldn't understand because he'd always worked with the German setup with world-class players. And he's gone, Germany, he said, they're
no problem.
They can do it. So, well, fucking, that's why I'm German, do you know what I mean? and I don't think he could quite get it in his head that the level that he'd sort of operated at, obviously no disrespect to the lads he was doing with Scotland, we weren't good enough to do it.
So he still thought it was international level?
Yeah.
Even though it was Scotland and Germany?
Yeah. He just thought if you're playing international, you should be able to do what the Germans could do. And, you know, obviously we couldn't. They had a far better squad. But like I say, I mean, we went 1, Kenny Miller scored, we went 1-0 up at Hampden, and that was a great occasion. You stood there at Hampden, 55,000, the national anthem going and all that, you know. So, you know, one of the highlights of my career, really. But yeah, it wasn't a great period. And to be honest with you, that's probably why I got the cap. If it was a strong period in Scotland's history, I maybe would never have got a cap. So, you know, I'll always be thankful for Bertie. He's probably not looked on with any great affection with Scotland, but he gave me a chance.
Was that chance within the Scotland set up part of your reason for leaving Birmingham later on, just to keep involved first team football?
And like I say, wherever I was, I'd always been a regular, really. And again, Brucey come to me. I had 2 years left, and he went, listen, he'd been signing a few, and to be fair, he brought in some real good players, Matty Hudson, Kenny Cunningham, Sav. His first sort of half a dozen, 10 signings for Blues were really good. And then he went down the road, he had a sick and Gronkyard and Melchior and people who just didn't care, basically. But yeah, he says you're not going to play every week. Well, that was enough for me. And we go, okay. And then the only annoying part was I had the chance to go to West Ham. I was away with Scotland, and Trevor Brooking rang me. It was at the time where Trevor Brooking took over as interim manager before Pardew got the job. Now, I know Pardew liked me because he tried to sign me a couple of times for Reading down the years. So he said, I can't be seen as signing a permanent player. Come on loan to the end of the season. We'll do it. Pardew's going to get the job. I've spoke to him about you. He likes you. He said, so we'll do a loan and then we'll sign you at the end of the season. But Karen wouldn't stand for it. She went, no. If you're going to go, we want you to go, not go on loan. And Trevor Brooking couldn't do it. He said, I can't do it because I'm not I can't be seen to be doing it because I'm not the manager. Yeah. And then obviously Ray Lewington, they come in and said, yeah, we'll sign you. So I sort of
West Ham Premier League then? Or
no, but they got promoted.
Yeah.
They got promoted that season. So obviously that was a little bit galling because I would have had the chance.
So do you know if it wasn't Birmingham, do you think you'd have kicked off big style to make that happen?
No, I don't know. It's a hard one. I mean, listen, West Ham were cruising at the top of the league, and you know they were sort of odds on to get to the Premier League. So, but the difference between that and when I left, it all happened really quick. So I never really had time to let it fester. It was like, the West Ham's not going to happen, go to Watford.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a case of sit there for a few weeks and think, bloody, I really want to do this and do that. And like I say, at 30, 31, I just wanted to go somewhere where I knew I was going to play. I never wanted to be one of these ones to sit on the bench for it. Listen, I got dropped down the years and had periods out the team, but I couldn't have done it for a season or two seasons. It just weren't in me.
I can see where Birmingham are coming from as well, because if you go on loan,
Get injured,
or you don't do very well, then they're not going to get the fee,
to
the
be
fee
fair,
that they want.
Karen was brilliant with me. I only had a few dealings with her down the years with contracts, and some of the lads used to go mad. Oh, she's this, she's that, because she was clever. And the way I looked at it, my job was to get as much as I could for me. Her job was to pay me as little as she could get away with. So all the dealings I had with Karen, don't get me wrong, she got her own way with me with contracts, but I never slag her off. And I was big pals with Pesh.
Well, I said, we just phone Pesh up and just say,
listen, I don't think that'd make any difference.
Any chance of sorting your fucking lass out or what?
But I was lucky enough to socially, see her a couple of times as well, and I got on great. I thought she was brilliant, and she's gone on to achieve big things, hasn't she? Really. And Pesh is a great lad. I had years with Pesh at Blues and years with Pesh at Sheffield. So, but who knows, if I'd have had to stop there for 6 or 7 weeks out the team, I might have been a different story. But again, ended up going for Watford. We just avoided relegation, and West Ham got promoted. Another one.
So just to clarify, Karen wears the trousers in
at the
Pesh's household.
Listen, at the football club she did. I don't know about in the end. At the football club she wore the trousers. No doubt about that. But she done brilliant. She done brilliant for Blues. Like I said before, I think they all did. They all did really well for Blues.
You're not apprehensive about going down to London? What are you at this stage? 30 odd?
30.
Married, kids?
Yeah, married, kids.
Moving away from home?
It was the first time really I'd had to move away, because Nottingham I could travel, Sheffield I could travel. So this was the first time I must admit I wasn't keen on living down south. I went down there, had 3 years. Like I say, real good 3 years. They got the old version of me, so Watford never really seen me at my best, which was disappointing. But good club, yeah. Met some good people down there. Got on great with Ray Lewington, proper bloke, and obviously Aidy Boothroyd come in. Aidy was good because he came in with a lot of new ideas. Most managers, when you get older, they want you to do less, don't they? Extra days off, do less. Aidy actually had me doing more, but different things. So, and he'd be one of them. You wouldn't have a day off for 3 or 4 weeks, and then he'd give you like 3 or 4 days off in one go. So we came in with a lot of, and I enjoyed it, to be honest. So some days I wouldn't be training with the team, but you come in a bit later, you go with the fitness coach, go in the pool, go in the gym. So it weren't like Warnock, we've won today, see you Wednesday. It was a completely different,
so you were
mindset.
Quite revolutionary then, really.
He had a lot of new ideas. Pre-season, everything with the ball. Still a lot of running, but everything with the ball. So, yeah, I think he was sort of the first, the modern era coach that I'd come across, really.
But your style of play didn't back that up, did it? Because was it going direct and second balls?
He got him promoted, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
He got him promoted, so he didn't do too bad. But we had Marlon King, and Kingy's big strength was getting in the channels. Gavin Marn and people like real solid midfielders. So, yeah, get it in, get Kingy. We had Darius Henderson as well, big powerhouse, win everything in the air. And he played to the strengths. He ended up getting them up and, having a good 2 or 3 years there.
Were you with Malky?
Great fella, got on great with Malky. Sean Dyche as well. Boy, don't you like Malky?
Fucking hate the cum.
Boy?
He's a cum. Absolute fucking
Don't get
arsehole.
him started.
I had him at Cardiff. Absolute
manager.
arsehole.
So I'm on about as a player.
He might have been a nice lad as a player.
I never had him as a manager. Never had him. But people change, didn't they? See, if I'm a manager, I never understand it when they fall out with the players. Because you can't look at Karanka at the Blues. No, fucking ends up falling out with the players. They're down tools for him, getting the sack, and then Boyer comes in, gets him on side, and the fucking
flying.
They're flying.
Was this? I don't know. Is this the same kind of period at Watford when you used to have training in the tunnel intimidation?
No, what's that?
No, was that later when Clark Carlisle?
Was Shitu and Clark?
Clark was there, yeah. Clark was there, yeah.
I just remember playing against Watford and there was people banging the chests and howling and all kinds of
Shouting and screaming.
Yeah,
that'd
just trying to intimidate.
Well, that'd be something that Idy's probably planned and fucking thought out to. No, I just remember it was the fucking ice bath. Every game was an ice bath. And I used to have an injection in my toe. And the doctor that used to come down to do it. Do you remember the Fast Show? Rowley Birkin, the guy who was always drunk. It was like him. He'd come down with a fucking great big whiskey and he'd slide one on. Can he inject you in the toe? You have to, no, it's the left one, doctor. It's the fucking left toe.
Imagine walking in and he's
bow tie and all that. That's what he was like. I mean, to be honest with you, I only ever had one operation in my career, and that was on my left big toe, and that's really in the end why I jacked in at Walsall. It was fucking murder. I couldn't train or play because it was just that painful. But he used to come in and give me a couple of them steroid injections. He wouldn't pass a breathalyzer, let alone sticking a fucking needle that big in my toe. But yeah, I was there with Clark, Gavin Mann, all they were there. But obviously, I went the season that they went to Walsall.
Do you remember him? Was it Al Bangura?
Yeah, he was a young kid when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had him. They had another African kid. Too many. Diego Rana had him. He went on to play for Brentford. They had some good young kids there.
He was like a refugee, wasn't
I think I played at fucking Forest Green with him.
he? Really?
Yeah.
Because he was like trafficked.
You're right.
He was
I remember now.
He was good at for male prostitution. And he managed to run away and then got a contract at Watford.
But weren't they going to chuck it when they're going to chuck him out of the country?
They're going to send him back, They're going to send him back at one stage, and the club had to go to court and everything. And I think they ended up sort of adopting him in some way. But as well as the standout young kid there was Ashley Young. He was there when I was there.
In fact, I think I bought his fucking bed.
What, off him, or you bought him one?
I bought it off him.
Although you would buy a second-hand bed off another player.
Forest Green, I went into his room at Forest Green. I think I bought his bed.
I need to Google this.
He was only about that big, Al.
He got a fucking double. I see if Al Bangura went to Bangura, whatever he's called, went to Forest Green. I'm sure I bought his bed.
Yeah, I do remember him there. That's a blast from the past.
He went to Forest Green,
I bought his fucking double bed.
Was it a divan?
Well, comfy. Just covered in his DNA.
Did you get a few more?
I bought the fucker's bed.
Boy's bed.
Well, we must have had scouts, because we had a few African lads out there. Too many Diego Aros, and we went and played for Brentford and that. So we had a few, but they had some good young. And like I say, Youngie was the standout one. Youngie was fucking unbelievable. But they had some good kids coming through at that time.
So was it when they were bringing Chris Eagles in? That
Yeah. Heidi came to me and he said, "We got the chance of getting Chris Eagles. He's going to play every week. You're not." Like I said, I was 32, 33 at the time. And he said, "If you can get away, I'll help you and try and get you a few quid to go," which was great, Hats off to him. I spoke to Gillingham, spoke to MK Dons. Didn't want to stop down south, if I'm being perfectly honest. I wanted to get back to the Midlands. Came back to Walsall. Just, only played half a dozen games. Wasn't enjoying it. Struggling with the foot. And I jacked in the day before my 34th birthday. And it was Kev Broadhurst, who is a big pal of mine, of ex-Blues and that. I just told him, I said, I don't want to play anymore. And I tore my contract up. So I had a contract to the end of the season. And I just says, tear it up. And I jacked in. And I keep on to Broads now, keep telling you're the one that finished my career. I'm actually seeing Broads tomorrow. The Blues old boys have got a game at St Andrews tomorrow.
Playing?
Yeah, I'm going to have a run around. So I'll see Broads.
You want the injection first?
No, listen, I won't be running around that much to warrant an injection, let me tell you.
It's probably the least we spoke about, going out boozing and that, I think.
Yeah.
But we did ask somebody asked the question, if you're having a night out, you could take 4 players with you from your career.
Past or present?
Yeah.
All right. Tatey would be one, but he doesn't drink anymore. He's
Which
in the
Tate
line.
is this?
Paul Tate.
So that, because we have asked him to come on, and I don't think he's in a position where he can, but was he
Yeah.
good to have around?
Tatey, yeah. Fun, to say the least, yeah. Tatey would be one. Absolutely mad as a March here. Billy Whitehurst would
Security.
Billy Whitehurst would be fucking dormant, but he'd be causing more trouble than he'd be stopping. Big horse. Horse is always good value on a night out. And who's the other one? If I could pick one from the past, the players that I used to watch down the Blues, it'd be a toss-up between Mick Harford or Tony Colton. Two big heroes. I'd have to get them both in. That I was like, my era watching down the Blues, the team was like Noel Blake, Mark Dennis, Dave Langan, Tony Colton, fucking Frank Worthington, Mick Harford, people like that. And I've been lucky because I do the ambassador stuff down the Blues. So I interview other ex-players and that's I'm like a little 10-year-old boy again when I get my car for
like
the
a
time.
fan.
Yeah, like a fan again. And I've been lucky enough to meet them and have a beer with them, which is brilliant for me because I used to go down and fucking shout and scream for them on a Saturday.
Did you never want to go into management?
Nah, I couldn't deal with players like me. Look, they're driving around a bit. No, to be honest with you, the coaching side of it never interested. The fitness side of it interests me more, like that side of it more than the coaching. And I just think, I know the first half of my career, I loved all my career, but I think the social side of it and the bonding with the lads was far better the first half of my career. I just, like an example, when I signed for Notts County, after a game, 7 o'clock, you'd still have the whole squad in the players' bar, that team ethic. When I was finishing at Watford, you go in the players' bar, there might be me and Dicey in there, there'd be no one else in it. And I know it's not really related to playing football, but I enjoyed that side of it, being around good lads.
Yeah, it's everything that goes with it.
Having the crack and all that. And I found towards the end, that was getting out of it, there was less and less of that. And, I don't think there'd be any of that sort of thing going on these days now. I think it's a little bit too sanitised now. The VAR thing does my head in. It's going to be non-contact in the next 10 years, and it's going to be like basketball, just jockey them. So all that side of it, really, I don't enjoy. But I miss it. I miss playing. I don't miss anything that goes along with it. The politics of falling out with managers or different things. But I'll play as long as I can. I'm nearly 50 now. I still try and play as much as I can on a Sunday. So I think you never get over not playing, do you? I think that's why so many lads struggle at the end of their career. Because what high can you replace that with? Scoring a goal in front of people or, running out and people shouting your name.
Did you struggle?
I was lucky, really, because I come through the non-league route. So going back to grafting, it didn't really bother. The way I looked, I had 15 years holiday. I had 15 years doing what I was fucking doing for nothing anyway, while my mates were all working, earning decent money for doing it and loving every minute. And then, I had to go back to work now. And I'd invested in a couple of things, so I had something to sort of take me focus. I think lads struggle when they've been in it from a kid. They've seen no outside the real world at all. Then all of a sudden at 32, 34, 35, right, on you go, that's it, that's the end now. Go and earn yourself 300 or 400 quid a week. And it's hard, isn't it, if you've got no experience of the outside world. So I was okay, really. I had a bit of an issue a few years ago when my daughter got ill and she's ended up with a condition now, which was a bit of a showstopper. But, you have to get on with it, don't you? But there is, part of my role now that I do in the construction industry is dealing with, young men with mental health problems. And I think if you look at it, a lot of parallels really with the construction industry and football, young, fit blokes, struggling with mental health issues. So I'll try and address that now in the job I do now. But it's, I was lucky I made the transition. I was crackers before I was a player, crackers after, so nothing changed really.
New one for you. If you accidentally killed someone,
Yep.
If what?
If you accidentally killed someone, who could you trust and still good friends with? Give a call from your
none
career.
of them the lads. None of them.
give you a lift at Shift the Body.
Well, I reckon Tighty's probably done that at some stage. He's probably got a couple of bodies buried somewhere. Yeah, so I probably saw him. Like Michael Johnson's a big, massive pal of mine.
Michael Johnson, centre half, Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
Went to Derby.
Went to Derby, Chef Wednesday, innit?
John, I'll bring the tarp. I've done it again.
Where's this fucking question come from?
I tell you what, that's the first I've ever been asked that question.
It's the first.
Ever.
It's the first I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I go Tighty because I reckon he's got experience in the field.
So he can pass on a bit of advice as well.
Yeah, I reckon he's
That's what you want,
he
experience.
probably knows what he's on about there.
Dev, top man for coming on there.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Really
mate. Very much
pleasure.
appreciate
Enjoyed
it.
lads.
All the best.
Thanks. Cheers. Cheers.
What a question that is.
Something different though, Chris. I like that.
Fucking ask Billy that one. You'll be there for half an hour.
Can I order a Peroni, please?